Dear candidates, I welcome you all on behalf of Staff Selection Commission and wish you very best for your skill examination. I am here to dictate you a passage of 800 words at speed of 90 words per minute. But before that, you will be given two trial passages of 1 minute at interval of 20 seconds to get you acquainted with my voice. After completion of two trial passages, your actual passage will automatically start after 30 seconds without any further intimation or warning. These two trial passages need not be typed in your actual transcription. You can also cross them to avoid any sorts of confusion. 10 seconds to start. Unemployment is mounting up and we have not been able to generate enough employment opportunities to provide even for those people who are entering the labor market today, perhaps to the extent envisaged during the third plan. The point that I want to make is that it is not quite justifiable to take only one aspect of the third plan period, namely the exigencies of capital mobilization, out of the context of the general economic situation in the country. When we are therefore making this huge tax effort, we will have to apply our mind with equal seriousness. In this connection, it will be interesting to note the talk of the Honorable Railway Minister about the schools, primary schools, higher secondary schools, and high schools for the Indian Railways. If you examine the previous speech of the Railway Minister and also the working report of the Railway Board, you will find that the same figure is repeated every year. I have examined the figures and I find that this year only 16 schools have been added, out of which 13 are primary schools, 1 is higher secondary school, and 2 are middle school. India celebrates its Independence Day on 15th August every year. Independence Day reminds us of all the sacrifices that were made by our freedom fighters to make India free from British rule. On 15th August 1947, India was declared independent from British colonialism and became the largest democracy in the world. 15th August is celebrated as a national festival with flag hoisting, parades, and cultural events. Schools, colleges, offices, society complexes, and government and private organizations conduct functions and celebrate this day with great enthusiasm. On this day, the Prime Minister of India hoists the flag at the Red Fort and addresses the nation with a speech. Doordarshan broadcasts the entire event live on television. Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru performed the first flag hoisting ceremony on 15th August 1947. Britishers have ruled India for almost 200 years. Under British rule, the lives of the Indian people were miserable. Indians were treated as slaves and had no right to say anything to them. Indian rulers were mere puppets in the hands of British officers. Indian soldiers were treated inhumanly in British camps and farmers were dying of starvation as they could not grow crops and had to pay heavy land taxes. The scientist is supposed to be an objective seeker after truth. Science has grown because, in a large measure, the great scientists have sought truth in that way. But I suppose no man today, not even a scientist, can live in a world of his own in some kind of ivory tower cut off from what is happening. Therefore, science today has perhaps begun to cross the borders of moral and ethics. If it gets diverged completely from the realm of morality and ethics, then the power it possesses may be used for evil purposes. But above all, if it ties itself to the gospel of hatred and violence, then undoubtedly it will have taken a wrong direction which will bring much peril to the world. I plead with the scientists here and elsewhere to remember that the scientific spirit is essentially one of tolerance, one of humility, one of realization that somebody else may also have a bit of the truth. Scientists should note that they do not have a monopoly of the truth, that nobody has a monopoly, no country, no people, no book. Truth is too vast to be contained in the minds of human beings or in books, however sacred. Let us be a little humble. Let us think that the truth may not perhaps be entirely with us. Let us cooperate with others. Let us, even when we do not appreciate what others say, respect their views and their ways of life. Let us go back to an ancient age in India, Ashoka's period 2300 years ago. This man, who was infinitely more than an emperor, has left memorials all over this great land, memorials which you can see today. Among the messages that he gave, there is one which I think we should all remember not only in this country but elsewhere. Addressing his own people, he said, "If you revere your faith while you revere your own faith, you shall revere the faith of others. In reverencing the faith of others, you will exalt your own faith and will get your own faith honored by others. If you apply that message of tolerance not only to religion but to the other activities of human life such as politics, economics, and science, you will find that it puts things in a different context. Mr. Vice Chairman, Sir, the Plantations Labor Bill 1973 was introduced in the Rajya Sabha on the 6th March 1973. Then it was referred to a joint committee of both the houses, and this joint committee submitted its report in 1975. Now we are discussing this bill today after 6 years of the submission of the report by the joint committee. Hence, the bill would not be able to deal with the present day expectations of the workers of the plantations. The original act in regard to the plantation labor, namely the Act of 1951 itself, provided various welfare measures for the plantation labor, but unfortunately the planters nonchalantly violated all these provisions for welfare measures. The main question, therefore, is the question of the implementation of the provisions of the Act. Mere amendments will not improve the position. There is no provision in the present bill also as to how these measures, these provisions can be implemented and what the government is thinking in terms of implementing these provisions. In most cases, even the government officials who are deputed for the purpose of inspecting the gardens, they themselves side with the planters. If government officers themselves side with the planters, where is the remedy? Hence, we should devise ways and means and adopt measures so that the provisions which are made in the Act and the present bill, are implemented properly. Sir, the provisions in the present bill fall short of the expectations of the working population in the plantations. In the present bill, it has been suggested that the acreage of the plantations in regard to which this act will be applied will be reduced to 5 hectares. But this is also not sufficient, because under this also the owners, the planters, will take shelter and many of the plantations will still remain uncovered. This should be further reduced to 2.5 hectares. So far as compensation for house collapse is concerned, it has been said here that if the occupant of a house is directly responsible for the collapse, he will not be entitled to compensation. Under this provision, sir, the employers will take shelter, and deprive many workers of getting compensation. Sir, it is known to everybody that the plantation industry is the biggest foreign exchange earning industry.